soon as I walked into the custom hall, that's all they could smell was patchouli of this little
Irish fella
with the drugs in his bag. A Mars bear. God.
Oh my God. So Dublin to Dungarvan, good success. All in preparation for 6 months down the line, your third attempt at the Spartatlon.
Yeah.
Right. So, what was training like from that Dublin to Dungarvan run to Spartatlon? What was that like?
Now, me training, I ran about 14 or 15 training sessions a week. I'd run to work and back, and then 3 times a week I'd run to work and back and then go out again. I'd do a hill session or interval session. At one stage I went out a third time after work, for a third session of the day, and that'd be a 12-miler. And then
that'd be in the dark.
Oh, yeah, always in the dark.
Did you ever? Because when I was younger, I didn't like running in the dark. I don't know, because we live. I don't know.
Living out in the country or something. Yeah.
Did you ever, in all your years cycling, running, hiking, everything, did you ever come across that? Freaky as well, is it?
Well, UFOs and aliens.
I don't know, whatever. Yeah.
I thought I did.
No way.
I was running down this boreen.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Run down. He hasn't heard this.
Oh.
I run down this boreen, dark, dusk. I should still make out things in the distance, and there I saw a headless man. You don't get headless men in West Waterford. But it was about 100 metres in front of me. I could see the shape, the shoulders.
Are you serious?
Hang on. The shoulders and legs coming down. Right height for a headless man. Without a head. And I said, no, it can't be. So I run closer and closer. I ease my pace off. Run closer and closer. And I was about 20 metres away from the headless man. And the horse turned round to look at me. It was the backside of a horse and his back legs. Yeah. But there you go. There's no aliens in West Waterford.
Tell me a story about the badger. Now, you actually had me in convulsions.
I thought this was about running. I used to work in Abbott Laboratories in Clonmel. I used to cycle to work then, the 25 miles. It was only an 8-hour shift and then cycle back. But the afternoon shift was to finish at midnight. And I used to get home about 2:15 back to Turin. And I was cycling back in the dark, obviously. And that road from Clonmel to Knocklofty, a couple of little humps in it. I was climbing up one hump on my own. And this noise ran beside me in the dark. And I shouted for fear. And I'm a brave man. And it was coming, and it ran for about 50 metres with me. And my first reaction was it was the devil with his claws on the tarmac. Honest, I shouted.
Left on a roar.
A roar in the middle of the night. And it took off into the hedge. It was a badger. Whatever it was, the scuffle going into the hedge, I said, a large animal or whatever it was a badger.
Did you get it fried?
I got it.
You shit himself. So your preparation, that 6 months leading up to the Spartatlon.
Well, people think of ultras as just slow plodding, LSD, long slow distance. But I ran 5 miles, 10 miles, half marathons and everything, my best 5-mile run was it 28:15.
He's a mile road out here, okay, so when he starts glancing over here all these times.
It's all prepared.
So now you...
Right, I'll read out the list, alright. Because he said prepare something about the running, not just all these little funny stories.
He's got
So my best 5 miles was 28:15, my best 10k 34:9, best 10 miler 58:22, my half marathon 1:16, my marathon 2:45:43, 50 miler 6 hours 29, 100k 8:48, not great, 100 miler 16 hours 35 minutes. Then I ran from Belfast to Dublin 19 hours. Dublin to Belfast, 20 hours. Cork to Dublin, 35 hours and 2 minutes. Anyway.
5 milers.
What?
How about your 5 mile time?
28:15.
Your preparation coming up to...
Oh, yeah, I used to do speed work, right? As well as my long distance Saturday morning run. always 40 miler, 50 miler. I did 170 miler on my own round from Lismore, living in Lismore at one stage, round up Galbally, round Glenavaharo, back through Care and back home again. That was shag with that one. But this is all mental strength for Greece, right? Yes, me and Sylvia got out to Greece. Thank you to that kebab people. Went out there and we started. 7 o'clock at the Acropolis.
What were you feeling like coming out to that? Did you know, going over on the plane or whatever, did you know that this is the one, it's going to happen, it has to happen? Or were you like, oh Christ, or right. What was your thoughts coming up into it, leading into it? The days before?
Confident, but the week before, well, any runner will tell you, and anyone who exercises will tell you, there's a thin line of health, no, being super fit and being healthy, right? You cross that line and your body starts breaking down, head colds, things like that. A week before I went out with Greece, I got a head cold. I trained, pushed the body, but just stepped over that red line. So, still went out. 3 days before, I used to do little runs in Greece, just to keep in touch, and my head cold cleared, right? Whether it was a mental thing, or whatever it was, but I made it go away.
Did it affect you? No.
Once that gun went off at the Acropolis, that morning, we were off. Now, Sylvia had teamed up with 2 other wives of runners, a German and Australian, and thankfully, all 3 of us were of the same standard. So as we moved through the race, I saw Sylvia regular at these 5 official checkpoints, right? The last time I saw Sylvia was with 10k to go. We're dropping down into Sparta, and you drop down for like the last 20 miles down, and my quads were killing me. My toes were pushed into the front of the shoe. And again, I think it was 32 degrees that day in the race. But coming down, I got 2 little flags off Sylvia that we'd bought. An Irish flag and a Greek flag. Don't worry about that, like 2 little flags on a lolly stick. And I was going to carry them into Sparta. We're a kilometre to go. They send there's a teenage Greek runner there, male or female, young lad. I had a young lad, and he runs into the finish line with you, the last kilometre.
Boy.
It's just a big occasion in Sparta, the Spartatlon. You know, I mean, the Leonidas, you know, you saw the film, the 500, 600 or 500? 500, all right. You know, the gap of Thermopylae, wasn't it? Well, Leonidas, there's a big Greek statue, a big bronze statue in Sparta, and that's where you finish, you touch his toe. That's the finishing line, you touch the toe. At this stage, his bronze toe is polished, but that's it, and it's a big event. So this Greek lad, just to give him a bit of a buzz, he's going to be part of all this. Every runner has an escort. Yeah. And I was running down the last couple of 100 metres before you turn up to the statue, and I saw a housewife. She came out. She's obviously getting the lunch, the evening meal ready, because she come out with her apron on the balcony and clapping, well done, bravo.
Oh yeah.
Hang on.
Tears. Yeah.
And a little girl came up to me and gave me a flower. So here I was, 16 years. Is that 16? What's
13?
13 years plus the other bits on achieving what I set out to do. Carrying the Irish flag, the Greek flag, and the flower in one hand. Turn the corner, and I run up towards the statue. Everyone's clapping, cheering, everything. Greeks and runners who pulled out, got out of bed. This is in the afternoon, but they'd rested and come out to see the finishers. Everyone was there. There was music, and I remember someone on one of the microphones, was it the Rocky theme? I was running up to the statue, you know. No bazookies, just the Rocky thing. And I stopped about 10 metres before the statue, and Sylvia was there, and I gave her a hug. And I was saying, I've done it. And the organiser says, you haven't done it yet. You've got to touch his toe. So the clock didn't stop until I touched his toe.
Yeah.
So my time was 35 hours, 41 minutes, 19 minutes.
19 minutes.
Yes. But last time I met Sylvia, the 10k to go, I knew I had an hour and a half to do the last 10k, so I just eased up.
Was there any point before that last 10k, any time during the race where you thought, or what was the point when you came to the point where they were like, I have this? Was it that, or before, how were things going throughout the race?
Obviously, food and water thing, but the race is so well organised, and if you're so well prepared, you have enough food there to eat, and you have enough fluid available to drink. It's up to you, right? I did all right. The last 200, the last 50k, you go up for like 25k, and then you drop down 25k to Sparta. Going up there, I was behind a Frenchman, and Max Cortillon is his name. He was famous in France. He was 72-year-old, but built like that. He'd run 100 milers, 6-day races, everything. So forget about his age, he was good. And I was running up there with Max, the two of us, on big long inclines. You look in the distance, you see the runners in front of you, only about an inch high, way off in the distance, and the heat beating down. Here you run down the roads and rats might go off into the hedge. There was lizards going off into the hedge, but the heat, and I was running with Max. I said, this pace is too fast for me here, the last 50k. And I said to Max, je suis fini, allez, go. And he said, no, come. I said, no, Max, go. And he left me. And I said, oh, what's happening here?
Yeah.
So, got to the top of that climb, and I think it was one of those, near there, one of the feed stations, I met Sylvia and some of the Japanese runners who were Japanese runners. He says, I'm going to call them Japs. So, Japanese runners had a great support, and I sat down just to have a drink. I had to sit down, And a Japanese runner came over me, shiatsu, the massage of put your fingers in there, in your shoulder. Oh, this is great, And I got up, felt all right. My Achilles was sore, but then just that little mental boost, seeing Sylvia again, getting a little bit of massage, off I went, and then over the up, down, and you know the rest.
But isn't it mad that just something so small, but such a small positive thing can change your outlook and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think what you give me a little rub of your shoulders was going to cure everything. Right?
No.
Okay.
No. I think what it was, someone cared about me. And that affected me mental thing. Someone cared about me, Sylvia was there, looking on, talking to me and everything. And then a foreigner cared about me to do something. You can't let them down, can you?
Yeah,
it's a mental thing. I mean, the potential that we have inside here.
Unbelievable.
Now, what was that I said to you before, Mark? The game is won and lost on that 7-inch playing field between your ears. It's in here. That controls the rest of this thing.
Yeah, 100%. So, nice and quick, you danced with the devil. Yeah, you went back in 1998 to give the Spartatlon a go again. Was it the year after?
Well, in 97, I missed 2 years.
You missed 2 years, but you danced with the devil, tempted fate, went to go back in you went out there for a fourth time. Nice and quick, what happened?
I haven't been as fit as ever. All the preparation went right. Everything. I'd been to the Spartatlon 3 times previously. I went out there for the 4th time, knowing exactly what was entailed. Right? I went out with my brother from Scotland, Kevin. And I think it was 2 days before the race. I showed Kevin the Acropolis and everything. We all keep in the same hotel, but you gotta get a little train in. Went to the Acropolis. There, down at the bottom of the Acropolis, there's a street vendor selling food, right? So Kevin got something, and I got a ham sandwich. A ham sandwich with 32 degrees from a street vendor. Not smart.
No.
So
I haven't.
The next day, we have a briefing before the race. You're all in the hotel foyer. The organisers there telling you what temperature's going to be like tomorrow, what's, you know, the route, all the rules and regulations, you can't eat there and everything. And I felt my stomach going. And I said, this isn't right. So I rushed out the meeting. And thank God there was no one in the lift, and the lift took me straight up into my room. I puked me guts up. Both ends. I had food poisoning from the ham sandwich.
Did you start the race the next day?
I did, but I had to pull out around about halfway.
Okay.
But I couldn't, yeah, I did. I pulled out halfway and got that bus that comes along and picks up all the people who are pulled out.
So take aside the 2001 or whatever one. So you were on that bus, and I remember you telling me, it's something that sticks with me so well in my head. 95 and 96.
Yeah,
you were on that bus.
Yeah.
Okay, still haven't completed it.
Yeah.
All right. Describe what it's like being on the bus.
Right. When you pull out the Spartatlon, they take your number off. You don't even get your number as a souvenir, so you've actually been in the race. And they give you a form and you sign the form. And you eliminate yourself from the race. Remember, this is run on with an Olympic ethic. You know, you're a runner, you know. That's it. You eliminate yourself from everything, right? Then you go on that bus. And it's like getting into a hearse. There's runners there, some are asleep, some are just staring blankly out the window, like what I did. I'm just looking. Because in certain parts of the bus going back to Sparta to put you to bed, you're passing some of the runners and you're thinking, I should be out there, I should be out there. Some of the runners are chatting nervously to each other, but it's a horrible bus to be on, because the whole show goes on without you. Mm-hmm. And you've got to follow. All you want to do is get on that Aer Lingus plane and go back. But no, you're there for another couple of days, attending all the banquets and everything, all the applause and everything, and you didn't complete it, but you got to attend all the meetings and everything. Horrible.
So you got Spartatlon out of your system.
Yep.
But you were saying you competed internationally and all that before. What other countries did you compete in? They
sent Irish teams to 3 World 100k championships. One was in Moscow, one was in Belgium, and one was in France.
Right. So you had an incident in Russia where you were there was an early search party called out for you. What happened?
From Russia with love.
Distance?
100k, not my distance, but I was picked to go on the team, because of me exploits. 6 of us went over. Now, Moscow that day of the race was the second hottest capital in Europe. It was hot. The Russians had boarded off a section of a dual carriageway. 5k down one way, turned 5k down the other way. 10k, 10 times. At each end was a bucket with sponges and water, and also your own little food. And when I got to them buckets, I used to have a white cap, like that in Capra chickens. And I used to dip that in the bucket, put it on my head. By the time I got 5k down the road, that cap was dry.
Jesus.
So there's 6 of us there, 3 pulled out because the heat probably, whatever. 3 of us finished. I was the third of the remaining 3. So when I got to the finish, them 5 had gone back to the hotel on the shuttle bus, because a bus brought us out to the dual carriageway and then collected runners who were finishing, taken back, shuttle bus. Right, I got there, no bus. But anyway, I had to go to the stadium to get changed out of my running gear into my Irish tracksuit and my gear bag. Next door to me was getting changed with a Belarus team, about 5 of them. And I came out of the stadium after being changed, and I looked for the shuttle bus, and not there. So I got the right place, because I'm a bit dizzy with the race. I mean, I've been running for over 8 hours in that heat. And the Russians, the Belarus lads said, here, in Russian, this way. I said, all right, they know where the bus is. So I followed them, we were walking. And I said, where are we going? He said, no, this way. We ended up at the railway station, you know, and they were getting on a train. And I said, I have no money. So one of them went in the booking office and got me a ticket for the train.
Yeah.
And they were talking among themselves, and a fella came up to me and he gave me a piece of paper, one of the runners, Russian runners, and I think it had 3 or 4 names on it of railway stations or something, and all in their language. That's Cyrillic alphabet that they have, because in Russia, the way we were there, we saw no other language. Go to any other capital, you'd have French, Spanish, English, whatever, you know. And I mean, Russia, no, they didn't need tourists, you know. We have our own big country. Everything was in Russian, especially these words on this piece of paper. So that you said that platform there, the Russian lads, they went their way on their train, and I was left alone. So I was trying to match the symbols on this piece of paper with the next train, and he was right. The next train to come was the first line on this piece of paper. So I got on, right, checking the next word on this piece of paper, and I was checking on, you know, like the route planner inside the carriage. Right. I was checking that. Yeah, I get off here, and I get off. I'm looking for and this was a big station. I get off here. No one there talking. Full of Russians, couples, whatever. Yeah.
They quit.
Quiet. All just stood there waiting for trains. So I think I'm lost. I couldn't make out on all the boards, all in Russian. I couldn't match the symbols or anything. So I plucked up courage and I said, I can't act a young woman on her own. I can't, whatever. So I picked out a young married couple, looks like it's early 30s, your age.
Yeah.
And I said, excuse me, this on my piece of paper. And he looked at me, looked at his wife, big smile come on his face. Go on, come here. His wife stayed there. He took me down corridors and everything. I wouldn't have found it. Yeah. Down to a platform. And he said, there, the train, next train, and he went back to his right. Next train comes along. He's right. It matched up. Right? I get on the train and dehydrated in the heat and everything. And it was full and I was hanging on, you know, and I had no passport, no money, nothing on me to say who I was in Russia. All I had was a green tracksuit with Island written on the back. I stuck out like a sore thumb. I'm just hanging there like this. And all the passengers, they weren't saying much.
Looking at you.
They're all looking at me, yeah. Okay, all looking at me. I say I'm dressed in bright green and orange and white.
Yeah.
And I say I'm going to faint.
And you're just after a 100k race on one of the hottest days.
Yeah. And I'm hanging there. Thank God for this. And I'm waiting for this word to come up on the last piece, on the piece of paper. And I'm following the route planner, like in the underground. And I recognise one of the names, the symbols. We've been here before, because me and the lads used to go out to the hotel and go on sightseeing, Red Square and all that. And I recognise I'm on the home run. So I get off the train, still standing, still dizzy, and make my way out, up onto the street. As soon as I got out onto the street, a thunderstorm. Thunder, lightning, everything. I was drowned when I got into the hotel. I got into the hotel in the foyer, and there was the rest of the team, and one of the organisers, the interpreters for the Irish team, who was Russian. They were all there. They were about to call out the police. I thought I'd gone missing, kidnapped, got to Siberia. I still have that piece of paper somewhere at home.
What, the train station things?
The train station, yeah. Soaking wet, dried out. Anyway, go on.
So competed internationally, but you also done a lot back here at home, or not home, in Ireland. 4 Irish records.
Yeah, the 100 miler.
100 mile road, 100 mile track.
48 hour track.
24 hour.
Yeah, 24 hour, right. The 24 hour did 131 miles on a 400 metre track. In 24 hours, a 48 hour.
How many miles on 24 hours?
131. 130.9, something like that. 182 miles for 48 hours on a 400 metre track. Then the road, I forget what that is actually. And
the road?
Oh, the road was
116 or 1635.
1630. Yeah, that was the one I got.
That was the road, yeah.
Yeah, 1635. I broke the record to get 16 hours 35.
Yeah.
I broke it by 45 minutes.
So when you say these 24 and 48 hour races, they are 24 and 48 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, running around a 400-meter track.
Yeah.
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 In 48 hours, there's your track. How much distance can you cover? And at one stage, out of the 4 Irish records, there's 2 still stand. I'm fairly sure.
I don't
Last
think
time I
so.
checked.
You can check that, but records there to be broken. I'm sure at this stage someone's done the same out of touch.
But I think there's still 2. I don't know
Oh, yeah.
which, but I know the 100-mile road is gone. But not only for 48 hours running and racing and all that.
Yeah, it's racing.
You have the whole mental thing of a 400-meter track. And a 400-meter track, it's not as if you're like running around the town, there's buildings in the middle, and you're literally, you can look across, there's the track, you look that way, there's you know exactly where you're going. Mentally, how hard is it?
Mentally, it's hard. Full stop, right? Mentally, it's hard, but you're only 200 metres away from help at any one stage.
Yeah.
That's where your support crew, your food, your drink, and everything is there, right? You have the lap checkers who are there, their table and everything. They come in shifts. They'll have a bit of banter with you, but you are racing.
Yeah.
Mentally, it is hard, but you just keep going around, and there's always someone there to shout and encourage you.
Yeah.
You know, we had no crowds, no spectators of these things. It's all a running for fraternity, all helping each other.
Yeah.
Right. Physically, it's hard because it's dead flat.
Yeah.
You know, you're using the same muscles over and over again on the flat. If it's a hilly route, you know, you're getting a rest using the same muscles, but in a different way, right? But yes, and if it gets hot, you're in a bowl of heat.
Yeah.
You know, the track, the tartan track, can get hot with your feet and things like little things like that. You know, you're usually not bothered by the wind or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it is hard. But I've always said about going in a track race, it's like going into a laboratory. That's where you work things out and everything. Yeah. You know, you push yourself, and then when you go out on a road race, right, seems so much easier.
Yeah.
Instead of just plodding on this track.
So for the 24 hours and the 48 hours, you held the Irish records. You broke the Irish records at one stage.
Yeah.
100-mile track, but I think the most memorable one for me and probably people my age, and definitely people that would have been in a running scene when you were running, was the 100-mile road record. And that's one that sticks out. I can remember that.
As a young fella?
As a young fella, yeah, I think it was 10 or something, but I can remember that.
About 10, 1999.
1999, it was 10. Talk to me about that.
Right.
That's
right.
a big race.
I was going to go for the record, right? Records are always there. So 100 milers, I'll have a bash at it. So at the time, Cappoquin Camogie were being rejuvenated, and so I started raising funds for them. So there was sponsorship cards and all that out and everything, right? Sylvia, my trusted secretary, got in touch with the media, RTE nationwide. They came out and they did a 10-minute spot on me. That was on television. Newspapers, I got my photograph taken, everything, and it was all set for the 100 mile. I picked a route. Now I used to run from Villiers-Town to Cappoquin Chickens. That was only 3.5 miles. The Dromana 5, that's the full 5 miler, Villiers-Town to Cappoquin. Right, so I picked that route. And why I picked that route is that John Trace used to go to school in Cappoquin. He used to put his school bag on the school bus, and run home and get his bag off the bus when he got home, when he got to Villiers-Town. So he used to run to school and back that way. So I said, pick that route. I knew the route. I knew all the bends, the uphills. I even had names on some of the potholes. I've travelled it that often. So I picked that route. 5 mile to Villiers-Town, 5 mile back, starting in Cappoquin. 10 times. So 10 tens, 100, accurately measured. John Welsh from Ballycotton, recognised race measurer. Okay. He came out, he measured the route exactly, cutting all the bends in case I cut the bends, and everything. It was exactly 100 miles. So there was no quibble over that. All I had to do now was get a time. I had 3 stopwatches on me, and at the finish, the slowest time, which was only by seconds, was taken as my official time. So there's no cheating, right? Now in these races, these attempts, you can have runners with you, but they can't run in front of you. That'd be called pacing. They can run beside you and slightly behind you or behind you, but never in front. So I had plenty of help from local runners.
But even just average or the layman and everything, like they were coming out doing bits of just cycling with you and all that. And
Yeah.
Some
of the Camogie girls came with me as well. Yeah. So I had a lot of support. People in Villastown were there until they went to bed that night, because I started at 8 o'clock in the evening on a Friday evening and finished 16 hours later, around midday Saturday morning. Nationwide showed the piece they did on me an hour before the race on television. So that generated a bit of more crowd pulling. And there was a lot of crowd in Cappoquin.
And that's one thing that I can remember at the start of it, when you were on the starting line, or whatever, the square getting ready to go.
Yeah, the square, yeah.
But I remember the crowds, and anybody knows the square in Cappoquin, it's big whatever, but picture down by Forties, up by the Black, going up by the Taylors, down by Barnes, the square was mobbed. It was mobbed. I remember it was just like an empty little circle, and there was just one lad standing there. But he was there just getting ready and waiting to go. And I remember thinking, I was only 9 or 10. I was only 10. But I remember thinking, geez, the crowd that is here. And I just remember being taken back by it. I was like, Christ, all these people they're here to hear from my father. Do you know what I mean? And it was the same when you finished. The same
was big.
Big buzz.
Yeah, the guards were there and everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, I did that, and I got great help.
Broke the Irish record.
Broke the Irish record.
Yeah.
16 hours. I'm reading it to you now. 16 hours, 35 minutes and 57 seconds for 100 miles.
Was it harder or easier than you thought? Go on, yeah.
You know,
not easy.
See, 100 miles is never easy.
No, yeah.
In hindsight, you got to watch what you say.
Was it what you expected?
It's what I expected. The only downside of the run, was my stomach again. You know.
What was on it?
A couple of days before, I started topping up on electrolytes, but I think I overdid it, because during the run, I got the gurgling again, and I had to go in the hedge to get rid of some weight.
You do shit.
The very word.
You can say it before.
We're among friends. But yeah, a couple of times for that. After I got over that bout of it, off we go again.
Go on.
But John Welsh, again, from Ballycotton, after the race, he did an article on me. And all my time splits, obviously, were recorded. I had all them. John saw them. And I didn't take any notice. But John being John, analytical, the second 50 only differed from the first 50 miles by 11 seconds.
Right.
I'd paced it that good, should we say. So that was a revelation to me. But as Sylvia will tell you, when we used to go places and she used to pick me up in the car, I could say within 10 or 15 minutes I'd be there, and this could be 40 miles down the road. I had this sense of pace of years and years of recording everything I did in diaries, and you know I've got a stack of diaries like that.
Diaries aren't that big, like they're it's like a library. It's like
so everything is there. If I raced a 5 mile or 10 miler, I'd remember, because I didn't have these stopwatches where you can record it. Remember my time splits, and as soon as I could, I'd write down.
But every day from that first 2.5 mile run, from that 2.5 mile run to this morning, the way to walk you on this morning, you have every day logged. Yeah. So from 1974,
1978 I came to...
So from 1978 to 2020 and counting.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's not over yet.
Every day is logged. Every single day is logged.
Like this morning.
But that'll have to, I don't know, you'd have to publish that book or something, I don't know.
This morning before you arrived, I usually go out, I do a cycle or a run or a walk or whatever. At the moment I got a bit of Achilles problem. So out the back I've marked out a 150 metre track in the acre that we have. And I do 33 laps it'll give me 3 miles. But I carry 10k of weights on my back.
15. You counted it wrong.
Whatever.
The vest.
It's heavy.
The vest?
Yeah, but I took
vest?
some out.
Before that though?
Before that.
Yeah. Go on.
So I do that regular, just to strengthen my legs until my Achilles stop burning. Because I'm still at it, but that way. And 150 metres, the track is getting smaller and smaller. From 400 metres to 200 metres to 150 metres. Anyway.
Right, so Spartatlon, I know this. I'm just going to pretend I'm a producer or whatever. What was your hardest race? No, what was the Spartatlon? That wasn't your hardest race.
No, I rank that
was
as
your
number
hardest
2.
race?
Yeah, Australia. I got an invite to run across the Simpson Desert in Australia, an international race. They invited 10 athletes from around the world to compete. Due to circumstances and injuries of the others, transport problems, whatever, 6 couldn't come, so only 4 of us did, right? East European lad, the Czech Republic lad, Australian, and myself, right? It was a 6-day race across the Simpson Desert, which is in the Australian outback.
The second largest desert in Australia.
All right. And one of their geographical features is the sand dunes. If you look down from space on the Simpson Desert, it's like a sheet of corrugated iron, like that. There's 1,100 sand hills, and they start at the beginning, not so high, but near to each other, right? And as they go across to the east, they're spaced further apart, but they get bigger and bigger until you get to the last biggest one of the Simpson Desert, and it actually has a name, Big Red they call it, and it's a pyramid of a sandhill. And after that, more or less, the marathon was the last stage, 23 miles. Now the first stage was 45 miles, right?
What was the total distance of the race?
240 miles.
And what that, so 240 miles, and that was broken down 4 o'clock in the morning. For 6 days, you'd start running, more or less, give or take.
Yeah.
Right? So first day was 45 miles, second day was 40 miles, third day was 42 miles, fourth was 44 miles, fifth day was 37, and the final day was 23 miles.
Yeah.
And so you get home, so you start 4 o'clock in the morning.
We started early in the morning to get as much running in as actually 3:30, I think.
Okay, 3:30, right.
To get in running before the sun came up, because the temperatures. I think that year was the second hottest place on the planet. I think Libya had the record. It topped 54 in the shade where we were running.
Right, while you were out there.
Yeah. I tell you the thing. There was 14 vehicles supporting us plus a helicopter, right? Carrying water, food, camping equipment and everything. We slept in tents. But on the back seat of my support vehicle, I had a pack of wine gums, right? Just remembered it. And after the stage, when the sun went down, I went to get me wine gums, And in the packet, they'd all melted because of the heat in the back of the Jeep. And this was only in the back seat, not in the boot. And it all melted into one pyramid-shaped wine gum, multicoloured one wine gum. That was because of the heat that was in the thing. See, all the Jeeps had air conditioning, but they had the window. The support vehicle had the windows down to hand out water to me and all things like this. Now I was drinking about 2 to 3 litres a day, an hour.
Jeez, a day I was thinking.
No, an hour. But we sweated that much that we didn't sweat. It just evaporated. But at the end of the stage, our vests were covered in salt, So there was the heat. It was the distance, all right, 40 miles, we can do it,
Yeah.
It was the heat, them sandals, and the flies. Flies, millions of them.
Were they?
Millions of them. In some stages, I was wearing the fly net over my hat, but they were everywhere. You couldn't go to the toilet while the sun was up.
Oh,
No, because the flies are looking for moisture. They go in your eyes, they go up your nose, they go in your ears. Sweat on your back, if you go to the toilet while the sun's up, guess where the flies are going to go? Yes. You don't go to the toilet when the sun is up. Right? So...
What did you do if you had to go to the toilet?
Well, we were eating a lot. Right?
Yeah.
As much as we could
Right,
digest.
no, did you have to go to the toilet?
I always went in the dark.
Oh, you did, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the Irishman tell you.
So that's what people want to know. Did a fly get up there?
They didn't. No,
No.
no, didn't have a chance.
Right, so Australia, 240 miles, 6 stages, 6 days, the bones of 40 miles a day.